What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer back with another Division 2 video. And today I wanted to take a look at this recent article posted by IGN India where they interviewed Trick Dempsey, senior game designer at Massive Entertainment, because there are some interesting statements that I wanted to break down for you. But before we begin, in case you haven't yet smashed that sub button for intensive Division content, please do so. And don't forget to ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my YouTube channel. Let's get this one started. Okay, so what makes this article interesting, besides the future content discussion, which happens late in this interview, is the fact that Trick confirms several items that the community has suspected, but never heard it publicly confirmed by the studio. Now, the first example of this comes in the very first question of this interview. First up, we had to ask what the biggest challenge is in making the Division 2's gameplay work for solo players and for those who prefer grouping up. Now, Trick's answer is broken out over several different sections of the interview, where she touches on group scaling, dynamic group gameplay and systems, sharing cover, sightlines and geometry, and even enemy veterancy. But during this next statement, Trick reveals a comparison between the first and second Division games, and it reads, "All of the number crunching and reworking seems to have paid off. Dempsey reveals that players played together more often in the Division 2 versus the first game. A greater percentage of playtime in Division 2 is grouped than it was in Division 1. What is not revealed is the reasoning for why players have chosen to squad up more in the Division 2 versus the first game, and this could be down to a multitude of factors. Now, as someone that actually prefers to play the game solo, I can see huge differences between the two games, and most of these differences actually hurt the solo experience. In terms of content and difficulty, both Division games allow for most of the content to be soloed by the masses, but where the Division 2 really strays away from the balance of solo versus squad play is in the reward structure. Solo players quickly learned that if they wanted to receive any sort of loot drops at all, they needed to try and be a part of full squads to increase the chances that loot would actually drop for them. Now, I've personally blasted through heroic missions solo with 2 or 3 directives active and seen just a handful of loot drops occur for the entire mission. Throw me into a squad of 4 on that same mission with the same directives and loot falls like rain. More loot falling means better chances of actually getting a piece of gear or weaponry that I want, and in this game, the chances of getting a piece of gear to drop with the right attributes or with the talent you were looking for are extraordinarily slim. Once solo players discovered that loot, especially when the targeted loot system was installed, would drop much more frequently for them in full squads, they naturally looked to the matchmaker system to fill up their parties. Now, there are also the topics, and I don't want to get into them right now, of the pronounced differences in difficulty settings between the two games, the explosive spam, the no headshot stagger mechanics, and even the intermittent skill outages that will push agents to seek to group up just in case they are overwhelmed. So in this case, yes, I would agree that more players played together in the Division 2 versus the Division 1, but we need to understand the underlying factors that could have helped drive this statement. This next portion of the interview goes on to discuss the lore of the Division 2 and how it is built on manipulation. Now, this gets interesting because Trick confirms how the lore, and more specifically the storyline and the plot progression, is handled. We have a network of internal lore pages which detail the true stories of our characters, factions, and locations, but there are always 2 golden rules. Nothing is canon until it appears in-game, and the only reliable narrator is the player agent's experience. Just because something exists in the old planning document does not make it true, and agents should not trust the words of characters with an agenda. The world of the Division is one filled with intrigue and betrayal, and any character who records or broadcasts something does so with the intent to manipulate their audience. Unless agents themselves see something happen with their own eyes, they should be careful about trusting too deeply. What a poignant statement, and it really puts into perspective just how many mind games and double crosses have and possibly could go on in the future within this game. Keener, Fei Lao, and even President Ellis have all proven to be devious and deceptive, with Fei Lao being the biggest surprise. There are also potential manipulations incoming from Kelso, Barden Schaefer, and even Sokolova. How revealing a statement is it that we should trust our own eyes and not put too much trust in what we hear over the comms or even the intel reports? You could also take this statement about trust and apply it to all of the recent posts about leaked information and incoming Year 3 content spoilers. Unless you see it with your own eyes, you should be careful about trusting too deeply. Now, I often post videos reviewing over those supposed leaks and spoilers, stating that I feel extraordinarily skeptical about anything in those articles until I've seen or heard it come straight from the studio. To finish off this IGN India interview, Trick dropped a little nugget of information onto the community when they asked, "That said, with more content slated for The Division 2 this year, does Massive Entertainment plan to give the community closure in terms of plot and story?" Reason being, the campaign, as well as its Warlords of New York expansion and subsequent events, the studio has been content with a drip-feed approach to The Division 2's story reveals. To which Trick replied, "The Division is an ongoing story, so we're not going to be providing total closure anytime soon," she confirmed. "This past year has seen the deaths of major characters, so we'll need to promote some supporting characters into the spotlight. The Sokolov family is still making trouble. Barton Schaefer is in custody. The Division may not have a hierarchy, but it is still reeling from the loss of one of its most prominent agents. The crisis which activated the Division is far from over." So this statement really caught my attention because we have gone from this game being essentially canceled based on that previous Division game tweet all the way up to this. The story is far from reaching a conclusion and will not be anytime soon. Okay, so quick recap. We've seen major characters killed off like Keener, maybe not Fei Lao, and even President Ellis, and we know that Barton Schaefer was not killed at the end of his manhunt, but instead taken into custody. I mean, who knows what kind of information he could be providing Shade agents with in order to track down this final name, Natalia Sokolova. The family is mentioned in the article, but we know from previous Manhunt comms that Natalia is the head of this corporation and has been secretly funding the Black Tusk ops. Who knows what future encounters we will have with Sokolova, if any, but from the way this response reads, we have more to come and we shouldn't expect a conclusion anytime soon. Now, I would personally like to know some sort of definitive information concerning the fate of Fei Lao, because there was a ton of controversy concerning both her manhunt and more specifically her final battle sequence, because it did not include any cutscene. Now, since that was the original planned ending for The Division 2, but now it has been extended, is that truly it for Fei Lao? Will she be brought back through some sleight of hand maneuver and woven back into the storyline? If not, without Fei at the helm and with Keener out of the picture, who will now step forward to effectively lead the remainder of the Shade agents, and who will fill that void as lead protagonist? That's going to wrap this one up, and as always, I look forward to reading your feedback in the comment section below. Don't forget to smash that sub button for intensive Division content, and ring the bell to never miss a future upload notification from my channel. If you could take the time to rate and or share the video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch for weekly Division streams, join my community Discord server, and of course, follow me on Twitter, posting on most things gaming related. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.